Hey guys, I am back for my Black Sabbath Part 2 video. I'm hoping that I'm getting off to the right spot. I hope I start off, where I left off in the last one. I'm too lazy. I didn't even bother to go back and check, so I'm just gonna wing it. So, if you didn't watch the first video, I guess I'll just do a fucking quick 30-second explanation of what I'm doing here. Going through all my Black Sabbath albums, which I own roughly all their studio albums, and I'm starting with my favorite to my least favorite, and that's kind of it. I'm talking about them really briefly, but I think it's cool. I'm a big Sabbath fan, like I've said many times. So, I think I did, 10 of their albums or something last time. I'm just going to finish it off this time. Don't have too many left. So, shit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I did 9. So, number 10 in Black Sabbath's discography. I sometimes feel like I really want to place this higher, because I do think this is an underrated album. It's considered, I'll tell you what it is. Black Sabbath's Technical Ecstasy. It is considered, by and large, one of their worst albums. I think most people would probably put it pretty goddamn near the bottom. I guess for me it's more in the middle. But I quite like this album. I think it's a little underrated. Sure, you could say it's Sabbath not knowing what direction to go in, experimenting and failing. I think it's just Sabbath experimenting. Most songs on here don't really sound like most other Sabbath songs or albums. They're experimenting. Is it working? Not always, but I do like, all the songs on here sound different. Of course, Sabbath is, in my opinion, quite known for that anyway. They don't usually just put out the same song twice, but there's a lot of variation. Almost a lot of the songs on here sound like they could almost come from different genres. There's a lot more different influences going on that they never used before. Anyways, I like it. Next is an album that, another one where people would probably place near the bottom. I like it a lot, maybe not quite as much as Technical Ecstasy, and that is Black Sabbath Never Say Die. What can I say? Is this the last Ozzy album? I don't remember. I think it is. This might be the last Ozzy album, before the many reunions that they do from the 90s onward. But Never Say Die, it's kind of, I almost consider it a companion piece to Technical Ecstasy, although it's not the same sounding by any means. It's still an album that with many variants, many influences going on that that aren't typical of Sabbath before or even after. Can I say, man, it's a good album. They were trying new things, and whether it works for you or not, I like it. It's not my go-to. It's not a go-to Sabbath album. Neither of these are. But I don't know. When I want to hear them, they hit the spot every time. So they're an acquired taste, definitely. And oddly enough, you're probably the remainder of my list is going to shock the fuck out of a lot of people. Most Sabbath fans won't agree, and that's fine. I totally get it, because I put those two albums over Master and Reality. I hate to say it. I think my Sabbath opinions are kind of biased, because I listened to the Ozzy era so much growing up as a kid. I kind of burnt out on it. I do feel like Master of Reality deserves a higher spot in their discography, but for me, this is where it is. It's kind of middle of the road. It's a fantastic album. It's one of their heaviest. Most songs on here are among the heaviest they would ever do. It's a great album. It's heavy. It's spacey at times. So many. Just with this album alone, spawned so many imitators. And even the plain album art. Look at how many bands would fucking copy this font. It's a very influential album. It spawned fucking a million, retro stoner doom bands, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a fan of really any of those, but... Alright, after that, I lost. I lost count. I'm not going to recount that fucking stack in front of you guys again. That shit was retarded. I do have some vinyl, too. I'm going to go back. I'm going to take a step back. And I'm just going to, I have Never Say Die on vinyl also, so that's cool. I wish I had more Sabbath stuff on vinyl, but I don't. Someday. I'm going to have a few. Someday. Anyway, next, this is an album that over the course of my years of listening to Sabbath fluctuates a lot, man. This used to be, at one point, this was probably at the top for me. And now, I don't know, at least today, it could change next week, but today it's a little bit more near the bottom. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion, and I could possibly get a lot of shit for this, but next, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. What can I say, man? It's a fantastic album, probably their most iconic cover art. Drew Struzan, amazing artwork. It's a good album. It's heavy. It's proggy at times. This was kind of in the Sabbath, what I consider like the Sabbath proggy phase. They never went full on progressive or anywhere, not even close. But they were flirting with progressive elements, keyboards and stuff like that. So yeah, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I know. I put it behind some albums that are less popular, but right now, at this point in my life, that's how I feel. Next, here's another one that, man, earlier on I would have put this at probably at least number 1 or 2. Black Sabbath Volume 4. Also in there, once again, what I would consider their, more proggy phase. It has, Wheels of Confusion is probably in my top 5 or 6 Sabbath songs. So that alone makes me like this album a lot. A lot of people kind of consider, these two albums fairly similar, and I can see why. They came out, I think they're back-to-back albums. So that, they were still kind of in a similar mindset. They're almost companion pieces to each other, depending on how you look at it. And most people do consider, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath kind of a better version of Volume 4. I do agree with that slightly, but Volume 4, when it's at its high, I mean, it's amazing. So, sorry. And we're almost done. I only have a few left. I'm going to say after that, Black Sabbath self-titled. It is a very good album. Also one of the best cover arts ever. Once again, also, how many fucking imitators did this artwork? The artwork and the font right there inspire. Jesus Christ. If you didn't know who Black Sabbath were, and if you got in metal within the last 5 years, you might just think, seeing this in a store, you might think this was just some fucking retro stoner doom douchebag band. But funny story though, I will. Obviously it's nowhere near one of my favorite Sabbath albums. It's good. It's got some good songs. Some of it's a little misguided and amateurish. But funny story about this album. I heard this when I was younger. I didn't even hear the full album. I heard the title track, Black Sabbath. My dad never listened to Sabbath, but my uncle did. And my uncle had given my dad a dubbed cassette. And I think my dad just fucking basically threw it in the basement or something. And I unearthed it and put it in my tape player. And that song scared the shit out of me. It's almost amazing that I listen to metal to this day, because that almost turned me away from metal. I found it so fucking frightening. It chilled me literally to my core. Just the sounds of it and the lyrics and the delivery of Ozzy's vocals. I don't think I slept that night. I thought about it for weeks and weeks and months. And eventually I got into Ozzy's solo stuff and fell in love with that. Don't really like it much anymore, but so I decided, I was a little older, so I decided to take steps back and decided that the first album is pretty good. It didn't scare me anymore, but man, that effect that it had on me was profound. So anyway, I'm really not the biggest fan of it. I do like it. I don't dislike any of Sabbath's albums. So even when I say albums at the bottom of the discography, there are still albums that I enjoy listening to and will reach for at certain times. Album after that, I only have 2 left. I guess 3, considering one, or including one that I don't have. After that, this album, I love Tony Martin era, so we got Cross Purposes, Tony Martin's last album with the band. I really never got into this album. To this day, I am still, once or twice a year, I am busting it out. And I'm playing it, and I'm hoping that someday it will grow on me, or at least certain songs will grow on me, because a lot of the Tony Martin era stuff, those were big growers for me. I did not like them at first. So all these years later, I'm hoping, and honestly, I haven't had this album for very long. I had a lot of Sabbath compilations growing up that had songs off all their albums, including this one. But owning the complete, just full length, I've actually only owned this for a couple of years. So it still needs time, but right now I'm putting it pretty low. doesn't do a lot for me as of yet. After that, this would definitely be considered Sabbath's worst album by, I would say, 95 to 99 of all Sabbath fans. Another one that I lost the case for, but that is Forbidden. And actually, Forbidden, shit, I can't remember. This might be the last Tony Martin album. Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, this came after Cross Purposes. What can I say? I mean, I like the opening song, all right, Illusion of Power. They are doing some stuff on this album that was kind of new for the band. I mean, there's some drum work on here that's unique for Sabbath. Some different things going on drum wise. Tony Iommi is actually playing some pretty cool solos on here. I mean, everyone knows what an Iommi solo sounds like. He definitely has a signature sound, and I do feel like he was mixing that up a little bit on this album, and that works for me. I do like the guitar work. Even Tony Martin's vocals, good as always, but I feel like he sounded a little uninspired. And I don't think that's far from the truth. From what I've read, that album, they were running low on inspiration, and they were also very rushed. Their record label was rushing them on that one. They did not have a lot of time to write it. It was, I mean, you could almost consider that album a demo, because it's like, they said that it was completely underdeveloped. They had to put it out, even though they weren't finished with it. They just had to fucking slap it together and put it out. So, I gotta say, had they had more time to record it and do more songwriting, I think it could have been a really good album. So that's kind of sad. And last but not least, an album that I don't own and I don't know if I ever will. Black Sabbath 13 was their last album, probably their final in the band history. What can I say about 13? I know I'm shaking my head like I'm about to give it a fucking lashing, but I don't hate 13. Could it have been better? Probably, but maybe not. I mean, if there was a chance it could have been better, it would have been better, right? I'm not saying the boys couldn't have put out a better album, but they didn't. They failed to put out a better album. What it sounds like to me, I do like parts of it. I don't even know if I like any full songs, but there are parts of it that I like. I wasn't excited to see the return of Ozzy. I never wanted Ozzy to come back to Sabbath. Obviously they're going to do it because he, Sabbath, or Ozzy era Sabbath sells records, draws a crowd. Of course they're going to do that. Out of every singer that they've had in the band, I would have preferred any of those guys to come back other than Ozzy. I did not want another Ozzy Sabbath album. And also, the mix is good. The production is really good. It's great. The production really does bring out the good elements of the songs. But it literally sounds like a mishmash of like Paranoid to Master of Reality era Sabbath. It's like, I mean, there's a song on there that literally sounds like Electric Funeral. Or not Electric Funeral, but Planet Caravan. It's like Planet Caravan Part 2. So, I mean, they just weren't trying to do something different, which that's why I don't like it, because Sabbath, they always, literally, pretty much all their albums, they were always thinking ahead, forging ahead. And on this album, they were taking steps back, and I don't like it. So, I mean, if I were to give it a score, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. So there you go. And like I said, I don't own it. I don't know if I ever will. If someone were to give me a copy, then maybe I'd own it. Or if I got it, a used copy for $2-3, I'd probably buy it. Last, I'll show the rest of my Sabbath stuff that it wasn't included in that list. I also have Live Evil. Pretty cool live album. This was one from Dio was in the band. I think this is from the early 80s. So he is doing... This is mostly older material, and there is some stuff from Heaven and Hell. Okay, there's Voodoo on here from Mob Rules too. So, but the only Dio era songs on this one would be Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, and Voodoo. But anyway, it's a good live album. As we all know, Dio can pull off any Sabbath song. Ozzy cannot. But yeah, I also have Black Sabbath Live at Last. This is, from what I remember, I think this is an old album. It's considered a very good live album. I know a lot of the fans really dig it. I think it's a bootleg, to be honest. This is from the early 80s. But yeah, I believe it is actually an official bootleg. But it's one that fans approve of because they really dig it. Yeah, I haven't played this for years. It's Ozzy era, early Sabbath live album. I also have Sabbath Bloody Sabbath on vinyl. This is just one of the recent Warner Brothers re-releases. Nothing special. It's just cool to have on vinyl. There's nothing cool on the inside. Standard black vinyl. Yeah. Anyway, it's cool to have. I would like to have all their stuff on vinyl eventually. I mean, who wouldn't want Sabbath discography on vinyl? And I also have, I almost wanted to work this in their discography, but I mean, shit, I probably should have. It's not a Sabbath album officially, Heaven and Hell, but it's a good album. I do like it. Double LP, it's got a cool poster. Pick this up if you can. It's got a great poster of the cool cover art and aesthetic sleeves. Quality release. Yeah, they did a great job in the packaging. It's a good album. I would compare this more to, as you probably know, shit, I'll talk about it for a minute. If you don't know about Heaven and Hell, you probably aren't a huge Sabbath fan. And I'll point out that this is basically, oh man, and I don't remember all the details, so you guys can fill me in on what I'm missing here. But Sabbath, we're not a band, and I think, if I remember correctly, there might have been some legal shit going on. I think they couldn't use the name Sabbath for a while. Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to chime in. So they formed Heaven and Hell with Ronnie James Dio, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Vinny Appice. And it's a good album. It's heavy. I would compare this more to, it came out in 2009, but I would compare it more to like the last Dio Sabbath album. I would compare this to like Dehumanizer. Maybe not quite as aggressive, but it is kind of along the lines of that. It's a pretty heavy album. I like it. I don't know. I'm not going to think about where I would put it in their discography, but I would put it somewhere in the middle probably. But it's an album very worth your time, I think. If you're a Dio fan, you're a Sabbath fan, I think you're going to get a good amount of enjoyment out of it. So, there you have it, guys. That's it. That's all the Sabbath stuff I own, other than a bunch of shirts. Like I said in the first video, any Sabbath fans out there, I know there are a fuck ton of you. So go ahead and chime in. Tell me what your favorite albums are. Tell me what your favorite eras are. Tell me about your least favorite eras. Tell me about your least favorite albums. Like I said, almost every Sabbath fan, that's why I like talking Sabbath, almost every fan has a different opinion about the discography and albums and stuff like that. So let's talk soon. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.